Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I am Janice. Welcome to Quilting Outside the Lines. I am working on my hand quilted project and the purple border one. Most of you that commented said you wanted a purple border, so I have cut a 1-inch border to put on it. I am out of fabric, out of this purple fabric now, so I had to go with a 1-inch border. This is all I have, so I cut 1.5-inch strips, and I am using that to go around the perimeter of the quilt. So this is what it looks like. And I am hand stitching using the method where I do some running stitches and back stitch, running stitches, back stitches, running stitches, back stitches, alternating, just to add strength to the seam. Wherever there is a vulnerable place, like I'm sewing on the seam of another piece, then I make sure to do a row of tight running stitches, tight back stitches, sorry, ignore the fingernail. I cut them off yesterday, cut off the tips, and yeah, hoping to get them done soon. Don't worry about it, it will be done. Just ignore the nails, look at the sewing. So the running stitch, back stitch, running stitch, back stitch, which is a method I adapted from Tiffany's Quilting Life, and she was doing a hand sewn project, and I asked her, I said, what kind of stitches are you doing? Are you doing back stitch for that? And she was like, oh no, I'm using running stitches for this. And then someone in the comments on the live said I do a combination of running stitches and back stitches, and I was like, yes, I can get behind that. So I did the running stitches. That's what I've been using. So this is what the border looks like currently, and then I'm thinking about a piano key border on top of this, using any leftover purple strips, and this is all the leftover fabric I have from this line. I have lots of this white on white, which I got separately from the set of 1-yard pieces. I got these as a bundle with the purple, and then this is separate. So I have quite a bit of this, but this is all I have left from this fabric, and this is all I have left from this one, and I have some 6-inch squares left. So it's just those two with those strips of purple, and I was thinking of doing a piano key border, and let me see if I can find the fabric line. It says, well, I know it's Riley Blake Designs, Strength, Lavender. That's all I have. That's all I have on the border, on the selvage. All right, so I'm going to be finishing the row, and while I'm finishing, we're gonna talk a little bit. And I'm not much of a talker, so we'll see how this goes. I'm not much of a talker if I'm talking to myself. I can talk if I'm talking to friends and family, so we shall see. So I am going to continue hand sewing. I'll try to keep my hand up so that you can see it while we chit chat. So I just returned from Jamaica, again. So I went a few weeks ago and then I returned again because I have a very close relative who is very, very ill. And so as many times as the opportunity comes up or the need comes up to go and I'm able to go, I will, just to spend those special moments with this family member that means a whole lot to me. And so I am very happy to have gotten the chance to visit Jamaica again. And Jamaica is such a beautiful place. You know, the scenery is lovely, very lovely. And I was able to take a few short videos of the various places as we traveled through the countryside, and I will insert those videos here. Isn't it lovely? Hi friends, I am home again. Just showing you the view from my vantage point of beautiful, beautiful Jamaica. Just there's a river, it runs all the way around. Let's look at the mountains first. I look to the mountains from whence cometh my help. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. Where is the river? Many people ask, so if Jamaica is so great, why did you leave? When we left, the plan was not to stay. Plan was to return when we left. I left on a teacher exchange program, and the recruiters come to Jamaica all the time, and they recruit, you know, professionals for states that have shortages in those areas, and one of the professions is teaching. So I was recruited to come on a teaching program on a 3-year contract, and so the plan was to stay for 3 years. And it was always a consideration to come on a program like that, but I did not want to leave my family. So if the program could not accommodate my husband and kids, then it was not a program that I would consider. But the opportunity to travel overseas and to work and to get a new experience, a new cultural experience, is invaluable. And I think it's something that everyone should try to do at some point. So we left Jamaica with the plan to stay for 3 years and then return. Of course, living in Jamaica, the potential for earning is much lower than it is here in the United States. The United States is a first world country. It is an economic giant and world leader in that regard, and so the earning potential is higher here. But saying that, I came here with two small kids, and when we completed the 3-year contract, we got an extension for an additional 2 years. When we completed that 2-year contract, we'd been out of Jamaica for 5 years. And of course, yes, sorry about that, got a little distraction. But at the end of the 5-year period where my children were in terms of their education, I felt like it was better to let them stay and complete their education here than returning to Jamaica. As you know, or may not know, we use the British education pattern. The words escape me. When you get into your 50s, that happens. If you know, you know. But the format of education in Jamaica is more aligned with the British system than the American system. And so I felt like at the point that my children were in their education, it was better to try to stay to have them finish their education than to return to Jamaica at that point. So the plan is not to stay forever. The plan is just to help my children get through their education, and then Marlon and I can decide from there what it is that we want to do. So we've been here for 10 years now. My daughter has graduated from college and she's working. My son is about to graduate high school and enter college. And so that's why we're here. Our earning potential is higher here. We are able to take care of our needs in Jamaica a lot better. I know that might be a controversial topic right now with all that's going on with immigration, but we are doing everything legally. We're not here illegally. And so that's all I'm gonna say about that. But going back to Jamaica, it's still home. It's nostalgic. It's incredible to be there, and it is beautiful. There's something about returning to your people that just makes the heart happy. So it's always good to be able to go, and I'm glad that we are able to at this point go and you know, be able to spend time with family. And one of the things we did when we were leaving was we packed up all our belongings because, you know, we were leaving, so we packed up all our belongings and they were left with family. And so one of the things we were able to do this time around was to go through some of the stuff that we had packed, books upon books, because we're book people, classics, books about finance, self-help books, so many books, teaching books. So we had lots of stuff to dig through and decide what do we want to do with these books. So some of the books we discarded because they have aged significantly. Some of the books will be given away, and we took a few with us. But one of the treasures that we found while we were there are a bunch of pictures. And I'm just gonna share one with you, which is like, wow, that was me back in the day, as my son would say. And that is this picture here. Looks like me? That was me back in the day, before marriage, before children. That was me in my 20s. So that's you know, one of the beauties of going home, discovering treasures that I didn't even know were there. So I'm at a seam now, and I have the seams pinned. I'm going to now do a very tight back stitch here, just to make sure that the seam is secure. So it's kind of awkward to record. I'm trying to remember to look at the camera and not at myself while I'm filming. I've not done a good job of that so far, but it is what it is. I'm pretty sure that you guys will not hold it against me if I'm not looking directly at you. And if you hold it against me, that's okay. That's okay too. We're all entitled to our opinions. Just all I ask is that you be kind in your comments. That's all. Be kind. You can give feedback in a way that is kind. So in my classroom, one of the things I talk with my students about is rules of engagement. And the first rule of engagement is be respectful and kind. So when you're talking to your fellow classmates, the most important thing is to be respectful and kind. The second thing is everybody's idea is valuable and everybody gets to share. Everybody's idea is valuable. I don't have to agree with it. But because we disagree, it doesn't mean that we have to be unkind to each other. We can listen to each other's opinion and we can disagree with each other in a kind and respectful way. So that is something I talk to my students about every single day. And that obtains here too. Your opinion is valuable, but I ask that you share your opinion with kindness and respect. So running stitch and then back stitch. So I'm now doing the back stitch, just a few back stitches and then a few running stitches, and then I'm getting to another seam, so I'm going to do a very tight back stitch right here, and this is how I learned to stitch, to hold the fabric as I stitch. But you know, now I do it my way, however I'm comfortable or however I feel like doing it. That's how I do it. So I'm going across the seam now. Pinned, the seam is pinned, so I'm kind of sewing over the pin, and once I've secured that section, then I can remove the pin. So it's secured. I have my little pin cushion, and then I'll continue. Do a few more back stitches and then do the running stitch. The running stitch is so much easier. I just try to make them small and even, and I do like 4 and then back stitch, back stitch, back stitch, back stitch, then I do running stitches again. 4, and the thread is kind of wrapping around. Then I do back stitch again, back stitch, back stitch, back stitch, and then running. And I'm coming to the edge of the seam, and of course this was hand sewn, and you know, some of the blocks got a little wonky, so the seam is a little like this one. Look here, so this, if you can see, I don't know if you can see it, let's put my hand there. So the fabric is even here, but then there's a little, you know, excess in this seam allowance here. But as my mom would say, man on a galloping horse won't see, and it's not the walker's business. So that's my motto for imperfections in quilts. Man on a galloping horse won't see, and it's not the walker's business. So I'm coming to the end of the seam, and I'm going to backstitch all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, I'm going to go back into into the line of stitching to reinforce the edge so it doesn't open up. So that's what I'm doing now. I drew a line to mark the 1/4 inch. That's the thing that takes the most time, I think, in this whole process, marking the 1/4 inch, because I'm not a good judge of the 1/4 inch and I can't sew in a straight line. Hence the name Quilting Outside the Lines. I can't sew in a straight line. So, especially hand sewing, I can't even sew in a straight line on a machine without using several methods to keep me in line. And that's okay too, because the goal is not perfection. The goal is mental health, relief, de-stressing, enjoyment, doing something you love, taking pleasure in your talents, and so on. Trying new things, keeping busy, keeping my mind active and engaged. So that's what it is. So I'm going back into the seam now and doing some modified back stitches. That's what I'm gonna call it. Don't know what it's called officially, don't really care. Just going back into the seam to reinforce the seam so it won't pull apart later on. So the seam is done, and yeah, finished sewing the first border. What do you think? What do you think about this? I quite like it. I'm going to have to do some trimming of the seam allowance, maybe. But yeah, but I quite like the purple. So thanks to those people that encouraged me to do the purple. And what are your thoughts on the piano keys? I'm thinking, let's see. This is the offcut from one of the lengths of fabric that I cut for the borders, and I have this whole length here. So I'm thinking I could probably do like a 4-inch or a 3-inch piano key border with this alternating with the rest of the other fabric that I have here. What are your thoughts? Tell me. I watched a video from So Be It Quilts where she spoke about the fabric fraying and whether the quality of fabric has declined. I don't know if it has declined or not, but I do have a lot of fraying, and I figure because I'm handling the fabric so much, there is a lot of fraying. But I'm not gonna concern myself with that. I don't think it matters too much in the long run, as long as I'm able to secure the edge of the fabric. All right, so what do you think? What do you think about my border? I'm really loving this quilt. I can't wait to finish it, even though I'm not rushing the process. I can't wait to finish it and deliver it to the person to whom it's going to go, and I can't wait to see their reaction. They know I'm making the quilt, but they don't know it's for them. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. So comment below, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the piano keys border for this quilt? And we'll talk more about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Be kind. More to come.